So in the next segment of the Farbrengen, the Rebbe goes into the famous story of the Rebbe Cashapp. Trivia, Dr. Bressman, at what day of man's life does man have the most vitamin K?
The day after he takes his vitamin K pill. I don't know.
That's a good answer.
David LaBelle said it's the 8th day of your life, which is...
Oh, I mean when you're born.
Yeah.
That's interesting. You get it from your mother. You steal everything from your mother.
Okay.
That's the amazing thing
The
about
8th day,
children.
apparently the blood coagulation is
It should be sufficient, obviously, for what we have to do on the 8th day. Yeah, that's interesting.
All right. So the previous Rebbe related that when his father was 4 or 5 years old, he must have been 5 years old, not more than 5 years old, because he was born in Tafresh Chaf Aleph, 1860, and that Tzemach Tzedek passed away in 1866. So he was either already 4 years old, and he must have already been 4 because he went to school at the age of 3.5. So he was either 4 or 5. So on Shabbos Parshas Vayeira, which his birthday was on the 20th of Cheshvan, or was the Shabbos before his birthday, his mother, Rabbi and Spiritual, brought him in to his grandfather to get a bracha. When he came to visit his grandfather, he cried, and Tzemach Tzedek asked him, "Why are you crying?" And he said he learned in the cheder, he learned in school, so he must have been already in cheder. He wasn't not just learning Hebrew, wasn't just learning Siddur, he was also learning Chumash. And he said, "I learned that God appeared to Avram, and he doesn't reveal himself to me, and that's why he's crying." So Tzemach Tzedek responded, when a Jew who is 99 years old decides that he needs to circumcise himself, then he deserves that God should appear to him. There's another version of the same story. Tzemach Tzedek responded, when a Jew who is a tzaddik at 99 years old decides to circumcise himself, then he deserves that God should appear to him. So the previous Rebbe explained that the reason why we have two versions of what was said is because Rebbe Cashapp himself didn't remember this because he was just a child, and the versions that we have are from those who share the story. So we're going to see, Mitzvah Hashem, a lesson from both versions. By divine providence, there's two versions. Must be and both were shared by the previous Rebbe. What is the meaning of these two versions? What's the lesson? So what's the general message first? What's the general message? Then we'll go into the versions. Even a Jew is 99 years old. That means he's serving God for 99 years, not just according to the calendar, he's 99 literally, but it says about Avram Avinu, the Zohar says, he was ba b'yamim, meaning that every day was full. He achieved another garment for his soul, spiritual garment, every single day of his life. The Baal Shem Tov comments about this, that you can't do 2 mitzvahs in one day instead of doing 2 mitzvahs in 2 days. Every day has to be done. You have to do the mitzvah for that day. You can't say, I'll give tzedakah twice today and I won't give tzedakah tomorrow. The mitzvah has to be done every single day. I think it was in 19... Right.
Today for yesterday.
Right. It was interesting. Yesterday you mentioned that. Yesterday someone called me up and says, "Rabbi, do you do lunch yet?" I'm like, "Would I do lunch without you?" So I ended up having 2 lunches and 2 dinners yesterday. So it was long today. It didn't work. Anyways. Anyways, Avram Avinu didn't just live for 99 years, but he served Hashem for 99 years. But since he was 1 year below 100, he had to circumcise himself. He had to still do something to take away the concealment of the world. The word world in Hebrew means concealment. So it says about world means concealment. It says when someone's 100 years old, it's as if they passed away. As if they're gone from the world. So it doesn't mean that when you're 100 years old, you should feel terrible, oh, you're almost dead. That's not what the Mishnah is saying. The Mishnah is saying is that the world doesn't conceal godliness anymore for you when you reach the level of 100. It's not talking about you reach the age of 100. When you're reaching the level of 100, then the world's not a concealment. In other words, there's 10 parts of the soul, and each part of the soul has 10 parts too.
They call an old man who knows the battle.
Well, wow.
What are they called?
That's interesting. Anyways.
What's the word though?
L'chaim Baruch.
It could be that that's the flip side of it. In other words, when we feel like a bottle, like 100, that's like a bottle, that's the flip side of it.
I don't think that's what you're referring to. You're saying when you've achieved perfection in your service of Hashem, you've rectified every one of the parts of your soul. So then you don't have to worry about the world concealing for you. But if you're one level beneath that, then you have to circumcise yourself, meaning you have to secure your spiritual position because the world does conceal godliness for you. That's the general message of Tzemach Tzedek. You have 99, it's not enough. So the mitzvah of Milah is unique to Avram. Adam had 6 commandments. God gave Noach the 7th commandment, not to be cruel to animals. And Avram Avinu had the new mitzvah of circumcision. That means that the main thing of Avram was circumcision. That was his mitzvah. So Avram's decision about circumcising himself at the age of 99, he wasn't saying to himself, oh, I should do something more. Rather, this was his main thing. No matter how much he accomplished his entire life, he was missing his main ingredient. He was missing his main contribution to the world. We were learning yesterday how the mitzvah of circumcision was a preparation for the giving of the Torah. And it was a transitional mitzvah. It connected the efforts of all of the forefathers before Mount Sinai to the mitzvahs that we do after Mount Sinai. That means that we learned yesterday that the unique quality of the mitzvahs that we do today is that the impact of physical. And the mitzvah of circumcision, although it was before the giving of the Torah, it had the components of the mitzvahs after the giving of the Torah. First of all, it was commanded by God, and second of all, it had an indelible and lasting effect in bringing holiness to the physical body. So after Avraham Avinu reaches the age of 99, he didn't just say to himself, oh, I'm missing another thing. I'm missing a big, important thing. But everything he did before that was missing something. Whatever Avraham did before was missing the connector. Without the mitzvah of circumcision, all of that wouldn't have gone anywhere. The circumcision was the transitional bridge that caused whatever he did before to prepare for the mitzvahs after giving the Torah. And this is the message, the Rebbe says, a lesson for each of us. That as great as you are, as long as you haven't reached the level of 100, not only have you not concluded your job, there's something you still have to do, something important you have to do, and not only is it something important, but something that will bring whatever you've done before to perfection. Think about Havdil, the iPhone. You know, like what did Steve Jobs do before he made the iPhone? You know, but whatever he did before, but it transformed. Whatever was transformed everything. And so everyone said about this that there are some chassidim who feel they've done their mission already, and you don't see in them any energy in what they're doing. And some people feel like they're still. But if you feel like you haven't even started yet, in the language of John Paul Jones, I haven't begun to fight, then there's a different energy. Anyways, that's the lesson, the general message of Tzemach Tzedek. Don't think you've done it already. Like, let's say Yonatan Hamburger, who suddenly decides in the age of 22, he has to move to Atlanta on shlichus, right? It's a whole. Not only is it enhanced in what he's doing now, but whatever he's done before is transformed. Okay, it's a transitional accomplishment. Moving right along. So the Tzemach Tzedek said, "Oh, Rabbi Shmuel, good morning." So there are two versions of what the Tzemach Tzedek said. You could use Yassi's sikha. He's not using it. There are two versions of what the Tzemach Tzedek said. Either he said, when a Jew is 99 years old, he has to circumcise himself, or he said, when a Jew who is a tzaddik decides at 99 he has to circumcise himself, then he deserves that God should appear to him. So, again, although these are versions that people who were there shared, but since the previous ever repeated this, so we have to say there's a message we must learn from both versions, and each version has something different that it contributes, and that's why I need both versions. So, the first version, based upon the general principle that we learned till now, no matter how great you are, you have to do even more. So the first version doesn't seem to contribute anything to this over the second version. What's the first version? When you're 99 years old, you still have to circumcise yourself. But there's another sikh over there if you want, on the third shelf if you want. The second version says even if you're at the third shelf. even if you're a tzaddik, you still have to circumcise yourself. So, okay, by saying even if you're a tzaddik, you have to circumcise yourself, that says it all. So why do you need to have two versions? Why didn't you have the first version? When a Jew is 99 years old, he has to circumcise himself. What does that add over the second version when a Jew who's 99 and is a tzaddik decides to circumcise himself? That says even more. Not even if you're a tzaddik, you have to do more. Why is it? What is it adding? Let's go to page Yud Ches, line number 15. Page Yud Ches, line 15. Hachidish mitzvah shlachem and torah. What's unique about the mitzvahs post Sinai, that also got mitzvahs mila, and so too the mitzvah of circumcision. The guy by mitzvah sha'am kim. There's another. You saw if you want to switch from Karbanis to another book. There's another book available. I'm passing. Okay. No, I didn't. I wasn't trying to get you. I'm actually very good at Karbanis entertainment. That's one of the reasons people come to the shirs to entertain their Karbanis. Okay. Anyway, so chiddush shalachem and torah. There is a guy mitzvah milam. Guy mitzvah Avram came with feiza who shemitzvah elam mitzvah sakechan neberi. Page Yud Ches, line 16. What's unique about the mitzvahs at Mount Sinai, post Sinai, and also similarly the mitzvah of circumcision, which was a transitional mitzvah and had something of Sinaic energy before the giving of the Torah. What was unique about it is these mitzvahs have the power of Hashem. The mitzvahs done before were only done with the power of human beings. The mitzvahs after giving the Torah, they have in them something otherworldly. They have in them the power of the creator of the world. Therefore, in the first version, it doesn't say the word tzaddik. In vis-a-vis the God components in the mitzvah, there are no different levels. In other words, it doesn't matter what level you're on. If we're talking about the power of Hashem in the mitzvah, your sagacity and your piety doesn't get you closer to it because it's something infinite. It's something that Hashem is imbuing in the mitzvah. Not only does it not matter if you're a tzaddik or not a tzaddik. Compared to the infinite light of Hashem, the world of Atzilus and this world are the same. There's a discussion between the Ramak and the Arizal about the relationship of the infinite light of Hashem to the world of Atzilus. The Ramak says the distance between this world and the world of Atzilus is not as great as the distance between Atzilus, the highest world, and infinite light of Hashem. That means the infinite light of Hashem is far beyond the world of Atzilus, and our comparison to the world of Atzilus, we're more similar to Atzilus than Atzilus is the infinite light of Hashem. That's what he says. He wants to highlight how great the infinite light of Hashem is, far beyond Atzilus. But the Rizal disagrees with him. The Rizal says, according to you, this world is even more different than the infinite light of Hashem. Let's say in a grubbe terms. If we say there's 10 miles away from here to Atzilus, and we say there's 1,000,000 miles from Atzilus to Ein Sof, there's still 1,010,000 miles from here to Ein Sof. We're still farther from Ein Sof. We're more distant than Ein Sof. So the Rizal says that's not what you should understand it. Compared to the infinite light of Hashem, this world and Atzilus are equal. The same thing. Or like Rabbi Zalman Zezmer said about the Hillel Parsha. Hillel Parsha said about Rabbi Zalman Zezmer. He said, it's not that the distance between me and Rabbi Zalman Zezmer is the same as the distance between me and a cat. That's already a overstatement. He said it's much more than, it's an understatement. It's much more than that. Because compared to Rabbi Zalman Zezmer, who he felt was head and shoulders above him, me and the cat are exactly the same. Me and the cat are the same in comparison to him. So, if we're talking about the infinite light of Hashem in a mitzvah, Edel, being refined, doesn't get you closer, and being coarse doesn't get you farther. It's infinite. It's the infinite light of Hashem in the mitzvah. But the problem is like this. If that's the point of that version, talking about the godly component, so how come he mentions 99? What does 99 have to do with anything? What's unique about this is that he realized that he needed to circumcise himself. In other words, it's not that his 99-year effort got him closer to that light of Hashem. It's more like in our personal experience, we would feel, oh, I don't have to. I'm not missing that much. I've served Hashem for 99 years. I've reached this high level. But so his decision at that age, no, there's something big I need to do, something that everything I've done before is meaningless compared to where I need to get to now with doing mitzvah Hashem. That's his realization. That's what put him in touch with this light of Hashem, because he decided to do it. But the truth is that his 99-year effort didn't get him any closer. The line 19. Okay, not only does it matter if he's a tzaddik or not, skip the parentheses, the Gemara says that Rabbi Zera had to fast for 100 days to forget the Babylonian Talmud. Why do you need to forget the Babylonian Talmud? Because you wanted to understand the Jerusalem Talmud. So you wanted to get to the Jerusalem Talmud, he had to completely remove his whole understanding before. He was a master in the Babylonian Talmud, and he had to fast for 100 days so that he could remove that to get to the Jerusalem Talmud. So too with Abraham, he cannot reach the infinite light of Hashem by the part of his soul which has achieved something. On the contrary, he has to remove everything he has before. He has to make a space for Hashem. He has to make a space for something else. Whatever he's achieved till now is not only is it not helping, it's hindering what Hashem wants to give him. Because like we were learning earlier this week about and last week, we were learning about Lech Lecha, that as much as Avraham Avinu achieved before God spoke to him, that was Hashem told him, leave your desires, leave whatever you're used to, leave the way you're thinking. Although it was really good what Avraham was doing before, but compared to the infinite light of Hashem that Hashem is giving him, it's not just it doesn't help. It's a contradiction. Here's something human. Here's something godly. This is the explanation of the two versions. We're on line 24. The first version is talking about the way things are in truth. Compared to the infinite light of Hashem, this world and the world of Atzilus are equal. And the second version is talking about how people feel. The second version is saying that even if you're a tzaddik, you still have to circumcise yourself. So the first version is telling you that it doesn't matter what you've achieved till now. What Hashem is giving you right now through a mitzvah, any mitzvah, is something that is beyond. You can't get closer to it because it's something divine. And the second version is saying, even if you're a tzaddik, and you feel like you've achieved so much, there's still. I'll try to say it simply. Now let's do that. The Rebbe brings it down, and then I'll try to go over it and explain it again. Oishet Zayin, line 27. What's the lesson for us after getting the Torah? They call mitzvah between us. By every mitzvah, we become one with Hashem, and not just one with Hashem for a moment, but the connection you have with Hashem is forever. Every mitzvah causes a connection with Hashem forever. As Alter Rebbe says in chapter 25 in Tanya, the bond you have with Hashem through every mitzvah is forever. And this union that you have with Hashem is for every Jew. Every Jew through any mitzvah becomes one with Hashem. The Gemara says that even the greatest sinners of Israel are full of mitzvahs. What does mitzvah mean? Not just commandment. They're full of connections. They have bonded with Hashem so many times. Shalachin Emer, and not just so many times, but it's eternal. Every mitzvah is forever. Shalachin Emer kolach Yisrael knows the brachas mitzvahs. Who says the bracha before doing a mitzvah? Every Jew. Ubeshem HaMalchus, with Hashem's name. And she'ein b'zeh safek u'svek sveika. You can't say a bracha unless it's for sure. Unless it's for sure, you can't say a bracha. If you're not sure if you said a bracha or not, you can't say a bracha. So every Jew, what do they say before doing a mitzvah? They don't just say that God is the king of the world. They say God is our God. Every Jew says He's my God. Every Jew says before doing a mitzvah, God is sanctifying us with His commandment. He's commanded us. There's a bond with us, not just a commandment to us, but He's bonding with us. So every Jew in every mitzvah is making a bond with Hashem. Next page. And since every Jew is full of mitzvahs, and through this he's connected with Hashem forever. So a Jew may think, okay, I'm already complete. And this is the message. You have to always know, you have to circumcise yourself. And when you decide this, then you deserve that God should reveal Himself to you. Hashem revealed Himself to Avram in a unique way. Avram had prophecy. Prophecy means that he saw the essence of godliness. So when a Jew decides, no matter what he's achieved in life, that he needs to circumcise himself, that he's not done, then he merits that Hashem should reveal Himself, that he becomes a vessel for this revelation. Okay, so let's try to understand again the two versions of the teaching of Tzemach Tzedek. When you say a Jew who is 99 years old circumcises himself, he deserves that God should appear to him. What are you emphasizing? You're emphasizing that the kind of revelation that's being given has nothing to do with your achievements. It's a godly revelation. So whatever we've accomplished till now is negligible. It's not important compared to what Hashem wants to give you. By highlighting the fact that he's a tzaddik in the second version, we're talking about Avram's challenge in doing this. In other words, if we talk in scientifically, there's no difference between whether you served Hashem for 99 years or not. This is something which is a gift from Hashem, which is infinite. So a Jew who's 99 years old has to circumcise himself because whatever he's done till now is not connecting with the infinite light of Hashem. It's nothing. Being a tzaddik doesn't make him closer to it. So therefore, if we want to talk in truth, it doesn't matter if he's a tzaddik or not. Why mention he's a tzaddik? We're talking about something infinite. Whatever he's done, the Rabbi Cashapp once was speaking. This is the residue of the story as it is in my brain. I'm not sure if this is accurate or not, but something like this. There was a Jew who slept on a bench for 20 years as a form of self-mortification, to purify himself, to make himself less into the physical, in touch with the spiritual. And he said that after 20 years sleeping on the bench, that it wasn't worth it. Why? Why wasn't it worth it? He said because this is going to decrease his life by whatever amount of time it is, and putting on tefillin one more time would have been worth more than 20 years of purification of whatever kind of purification a person experiences through pain is not as valuable as a mitzvah. That's what he said. I heard that Rabbi Cashapp responded to that and said, yeah, I'm not sure this is true, but the idea I think is true. Rabbi Cashapp said, yes, that's true what he said, but in order to appreciate how valuable a mitzvah is, it requires a lot of refinement. So it was something he could only realize after sleeping on the bench for 20 years. So I think there's something similar being said over here. Avram Avinu, whatever he accomplished till now, sleeping on the bench, spiritual achievements, it's nothing. He didn't get closer to one mitzvah. One mitzvah is far beyond that. One mitzvah of the circumcision, infinite light of Hashem, is nothing, whatever he achieved till now. A Jew at 99 has to decide to circumcise himself because whatever you've achieved is nothing. Then the Tzemach Tzedek adds, there's another version. Okay, that's true, but how does he know that? How does Avram know that? Look at the not just the heroic effort, but look at the feeling of Avram Avinu in coming to this realization. How did Avram understand that? He's a tzaddik, he's perfect, and yet he makes this radical move and this dramatic move at this age. That shows a real devotion to Hashem. That no matter how high he was, he realized that this is nothing. So, in comparison, if you're looking at it scientifically, it doesn't matter if he's a tzaddik. Don't mention he's a tzaddik. We want to talk about what was important that was achieved over here. Something infinite, something far beyond that he could have done till now. But if you want but let's talk about him as a person making this decision. Wow, he's a tzaddik, and yet he realized that this is nothing, and he has to go there. You hear the two ideas. One idea is that, look, that brings down to us. It says you're full of mitzvahs. You do mitzvahs all the time, right? So I did so many of them. I need to do another one. So no matter how much you've achieved in mitzvahs, but compared to what you need to do, it's garnished. It's nothing. It's nothing.
19-year-old mitzvah was special. The meal was special.
Meal was special.
Yeah.
And so to the Rebbe is saying that we have to realize there's things in our life that are special. You've done a lot of things, but they say, I don't want to say about doctors anything negative because they have doctors here, but one of the reasons it says, shalom, that doctors are more associated with the opposite of heaven is because they're used to it. They're used to sick people. So, okay, so I saved 9 people, and 9 out of 10 isn't bad. I have to go crazy at the 10th guy, But, and it's a natural feeling. And so a similar thing. You do mitzvahs all the time. When someone tells you, do it because it's a mitzvah, what goes on in your mind? You know what goes on my mind? Do I look like I'm so naive? Do it because it's a mitzvah. That's incorrect. They're saying you've done mitzvahs. Are you kidding? You have to circumcise yourself. You realize. They're saying you should realize that no matter what you've achieved, you have to circumcise yourself. And when you do, when you realize that, then you deserve the Eibush to reveal himself to you. Then you're able to get somewhere. Then you're able to move somewhere. I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday who is really having a very hard time. I don't say any details, people know what I'm talking about. Having a very hard time, many different challenges, financial, health challenges. And he's describing to me how he rose to the occasion in his marriage when his wife needed something, and despite everything was going on the opposite of and he felt like such a shmendrik having to do this menial task that she needed, and he felt like, and he described to me, and I did it. Aren't I such a shmendrik? I'm thinking like, wow, this guy is like at the Akedah. He's like Avram and Yitzchak the Akedah. He doesn't even realize what he achieved. That's the idea of knowing you have to circumcise yourself, knowing that there's. To know that wherever you are, there's higher, and you don't be satisfied where you are. One more line, I'll let you go. The Kotzker Rebbe said this. He once said, anyone who wants to do a little bit more is a chassid. So one of his chassidim looks at him and he says, then everybody is a chassid. He said, yes, everyone here is except for you. He said, what, me? Why me? He said, because once you think you are a chassid, you don't have to try anymore. As long as you know you have to circumcise yourself, then you're missing a major thing in your life. Then you go.
Quick technical question.
Yeah.
You do the mitzvah. You do the blessing before the mitzvah. What was the distinction about washing hands? Or do the act before we say blessing?
Why do we
Say we do. Say we do. Say we do. Say we